Our political editor, Gary Gibbon, is in Westminster. Gary.
Well, the left have been saying for a while that they think this deputy leadership contest is a stitch up. Some of the stitching up, as they would see it, was done quite a bit earlier when the rules were changed. The threshold for the number of MPs you need was pushed up. Now they have a new grievance, the timetable far too tight, they say, to allow a candidate to establish themselves. But the other thing that's fascinating about the last 24 hours is hearing more and more about that reset that the reshuffle was meant to bring in for this government. As you were saying, we heard Shabana Mahmood talking tough, as we always knew she would. A lot of the reshuffle was all about making sure that she was in that job in order to deliver some tougher, more hardline policies than we've seen before. But then from the TUC in Brighton, we were hearing all the grievances there about the government softening, as it were, its original policy line on workers' rights. It's not going to be in the form of rewriting the bill. It seems pretty clear that the bill is going to go onto the statute book in the way that it was first drafted, pretty much exactly. But the government is interested in trying to water it down later in terms of when it is actually implemented and the exact details of that implementation. But in terms of the breadth of this reset, a fascinating story which emerged first on ITV News, that the undone bit of the reshuffle that Keir Starmer went into Friday hoping to complete was that he wanted to extract the man who in some ways was his political patron, Ed Miliband, from the net zero department. It wasn't in order, I think we can be pretty sure, obviously Ed Miliband resisted that, but it wasn't to put someone else in who was going to push harder on net zero. It was to put in someone who would soften some of those targets and some of the Ed Miliband policies. It gives you a sense of how, for Keir Starmer, there are no sacred cows in this reset, and that perhaps gives you a sense of his determination, his desperation, or maybe a bit of both. The first reshuffled minister sent to face the cameras was the new Home Secretary.
Hi, folks.
Shabana Mahmood was meeting her counterparts from the US, Australia, New Zealand and Canada. Number 10 went to huge efforts to secure her the responsibility for small boats, clearly hoping she'll do more than her predecessor to stop them.
I will be looking to go further and faster because I am very clear I have one top priority in this job, and that is to secure the borders. I will do whatever it takes. And for those who've worked with me already in government and in my previous brief, I think people can tell I'm not the sort of person that hangs around.
As a signal of intent, the Home Secretary said countries that refuse to take back illegal migrants will face visa suspensions.
So cutting visas to countries that don't agree returns deals as Reform have proposed and as the Tories have proposed?
Well, this is a Labour government with Labour policy and Labour proposals. We've been looking at this for some time.
Just as Keir Starmer tries to reprogram his deeply unpopular government, he faces what risks becoming a referendum of the Labour Party. As its members and its trade unionists today, gathering in Brighton for the TUC, prepare for a vote on who should be his deputy after Angela Rayner's resignation.
What chance would you give a Keir Starmer loyalist in this deputy leadership race?
Well, I'm not a betting woman, but if I was a betting woman, I think that might be difficult. I think it might be difficult because across the board now, people are saying, what's Labour doing? And that's across the board.
The Labour leadership got its way today, announcing a timetable for the contest, which gives very little time for any candidate to get together the 80 MPs nominations required to stand. It means anyone who wants to take on this challenge has only 76 hours to plot their campaign. An awesome task, hard to achieve at thriller pace. With no one yet declared, there's speculation local government minister Ali McGovern could be the candidate the leadership backs. Running on a more critical ticket, the speculation centred around Emily Thornberry, recently sacked Cabinet Minister Lucy Powell, and London backbencher Stella Creasy.
They're only giving MPs a couple of days to cast their nominations, and that's deliberate. What this is about, in my view, is trying to shut down discussion and trying to create the mother of all stitch-ups.
At the TUC, there was unease about where newly reshuffled ministers would take government policy in the dash for growth.
Deliver the Employment Rights Bill and deliver it in full.
The government tried to calm nerves, insisting the Workers' Rights Bill would go into law pretty much as originally drafted. It didn't rule out responding to intense pressure from business further down the line.
The bill has almost completed its parliamentary passage. It is at the last discussions and wash-up between Lords and Commons.
You're not expecting it to look very different from how it was originally published?
We're not expecting to see major changes.
It's about putting the brakes on later in implementation.
The details of the bill, crucially how it is implemented, how it affects workers on 0 hours contracts, how it affects notice of changes of shifts, all of those details still to be determined.
And do you think you're getting a good hearing from the government?
And we want to have we are here getting good hearing from the government.
Any more dilution of the Employment Rights Bill, it won't be worth the paper that it's written on. That will be the problem. And remember, Labour made a promise to the British people to make work pay through the employment rights. They cannot go back on that.
I'm back! The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. And we're just getting started.
Ed Miliband's Department for Energy Security and Net Zero official social media. ITV News reported that he had to dig in on Friday and resist Number 10 efforts to reshuffle him out of this department, suggesting just how widely Keir Starmer is willing to go in pushing what he hopes will deliver growth, even when it means reversing or slowing existing policy.
There's a lot of fights that they've been struggling to win, and they've now put this team in place that they think are more enthusiastic about having the fight, but that doesn't mean they're going to win the fight.
The pushback could be quite something.
Well, the pushback will be quite something.
There was a brief foretaste of that today in Brighton, a Labour conference in 3 weeks' time, and that deputy leadership contest, which risks putting numbers on the levels of support for each side.
Well, one MP who's been mentioned as a possible candidate is Dawn Butler. She spoke to me just before the programme from Westminster, and I began by asking her if there was anyone obvious to replace Angela Rayner.
There's a long list at the moment.
Are you on it?
And that list seems to be growing. No, I mean, I was put on that list, which is a great honour to be put on that list, but it isn't something that I'm going to do. I've got my eye on London, and I can't take my eye off of that board, and I'm chair of the London PLP, and we've got really important elections next year, and I want to make sure that I return as many Labour councillors as possible. So that is my priority.
And how important is it that whoever replaces Angela Rayner is is someone from the left of the party?
Well, first of all, I mean, I do think it has to be a female. I think we need to always have sort of mixed leadership. And I think that we need sort of that diversity within the party. We are a broad church. And so there's no point in just talking to yourselves in silos. You have to have other sort of dissenting voices for you to make good decisions. And so I think it would be great to have somebody, if you like, I don't normally talk about in terms of left or right, but yeah, since you said it, from the left of the party, I think would be good for the party and good for the leadership.
Do you think Keir Starmer is in a position, because ultimately it's up to him and not to the deputy leader, whoever that might be, in a position to unite these disparate wings of the Labour Party?
Is he in a position? I think right now there doesn't seem to be that space for unity where there should be, and that's part of the that's part of the reason why I think he's had a lot to deal with, and I don't think that has been a priority, if I'm absolutely honest with you. And I think it needs to be a priority now, and that's why I'm a part of one of the founding members of this mainstream, because that's about bringing in the public, it's about bringing in the members, it's about bringing in those views and saying, let's do this together, because we all want Labour government to succeed, and we all want Labour government to be more than just one-term government. And so that means that we have to work better together. And that's what I think we need to move towards.
But one of the criticisms I hear a lot, including from people in the Labour Party, is that they're not really sure what the party stands for, that there's a sort of, not just a vacancy at the heart of the Labour Party in terms of the position that Angela Rayner has resigned from, but also a void. What is the point of the Labour Party under Keir Starmer in the year 2025? Can you tell me?
I mean, that I think is a fair challenge. And I think there are lots of people, and when I knock on doors, people say that also, like, what is the Labour Party about? And we do have to get back to the roots.
But that's quite a challenge, isn't it? I mean, after 14 months of power, that's a huge question to ask of a party in government.
Yeah, but it's, 14 months of basically firefighting and problem solving. And in that time, we have done some amazing things in regards to childcare, in regards to minimum wage, in regards to employment rights. So we have done some really good things in government, but it doesn't get talked about. So it's like our job to amplify what we've done well, and then to look at what people also understand and how they feel. And that hope is often missing, and that hope is missing because we're not talking about things in a positive, humane way. So once we start doing that, you'll find that people will feel more hopeful and that things are changing for the better.
In one line, this upcoming vote for deputy leader, is this or should this be a battle for the soul of the Labour Party?
Interesting. I don't think it's a battle for the soul of the Labour Party, but I think it's a battle to introduce a different narrative.
Ah, that is interesting. We'll leave it there. Dawn Butler, thanks very much.
Thank you.
Well, whoever is going to stand as Labour's deputy leader will need the backing of 2 unions which are affiliated to the Labour Party. Our senior political correspondent, Paul McNamara, is at the Trades Union Congress's annual conference in Brighton. Paul, who are the potential candidates then that union leaders rather like the look of?
Well, they're all keeping their cards pretty close to their chest at the moment, all making the point of whoever comes up on the list. They're going to be going through their voting records. They're going to be marking their homework. But look, the unions don't all speak with a unionised voice. There are a few differences. Some of the more left-leaning unions making the point they're not overly happy with the speed at which the process is going to take place. They're not over the moon about the high level that has been set. 80 MPs back in candidates can make it very hard to get someone from the left of the party onto the shortlist. But there were 2 significant points picked up on today. Firstly, one senior executive from a Labour-affiliated union making the point to me today, it would be wrong for Labour to think they can always rely on the support of unions. Their allegiance is to their members. They'll look at parties that best suit their members. As if to underline that point today, one person who went down very well at a fringe event that they appeared at was the new Green Party leader, Zach Polanski. And he's made no qualms about the fact he is looking to capitalise on union members. So the left of the Labour Party is exposed there. Secondly, there is one point that every single union boss is united on, and that is the Employment Rights Bill. To get union backing from whichever union it is, whichever candidate goes forward, is going to have to make the point that they not only back it, but they will fight tooth and nail to make sure that the government doesn't drag their heels on it. And that is a fight that Sir Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister, does not want.
Thanks, Paul. Paul McNamara for us live in Brighton tonight. Well, the TUC's General Secretary hasn't exactly been holding back in his criticism of Sir Keir Starmer's stewardship. Paul Novak has warned that Labour has to deliver the change that it promised before winning last year's election. If it doesn't do that, he says, the beneficiary will be Nigel Farage and his Reform UK party. Well, Paul Novak also joins us now from Brighton. Mr. Novak, do you think this leadership timetable is a stitch-up by the leadership to stop a left-leaning candidate getting the momentum they need?
No, well, the TUC isn't affiliated to the Labour Party, so I'm not going to give them advice on how they run deputy leadership elections. I think the key thing for unions is, it's not about playing cabinet top trumps. What we want is senior politicians in the Labour Party who are on the side of working people and who are delivering for working people. That was the message of my Congress speech today. Last year, the public voted overwhelmingly for change. That was the one word on the front of the government's manifesto. Change has been slow coming. I think the Prime Minister himself has acknowledged that. But I think going forward now, whoever's in what position, it's really incumbent on the government to show with every decision they're on the side of working people.
Right, but presumably you'd like a more left-leaning candidate, and that's not exactly the pool that Sir Keir Starmer has been fishing in when he's been choosing new advisers in recent months, is it? He's been fishing in the Blairite pool.
No, as I said, Kieran, I mean, the TUC doesn't get involved in the Labour Party's internal democracy. Decisions about who'll be the deputy leader come down to Labour Party members. and Labour-affiliated unions. But I don't think it is about left and right, or who's in and who's out. It's about delivering on the policies that matter to millions of working people up and down this country. 70% of the kids who are in poverty have at least one parent who goes out to work each and every day. Clearly, for far too many people, work doesn't pay at the moment, and that's why the Employment Rights Bill is so important, whoever's in the top offices in the government or indeed the Labour Party.
And you think that under Sir Keir Starmer, the implementation of that Employment Rights Bill is really kind of under threat?
I don't think it's under threat. Now, I'm in no way complacent, but I am confident the government will deliver the bill and deliver it in full. Just last week at a TUC parliamentary event, Keir Starmer looked me in the eye, but he also looked in the eyes of low-paid workers that we'd taken to meet him to talk specifically about the Employment Rights Bill, and he said he was going to deliver the bill, and he was going to drive through positive changes in employment law that would benefit generations of workers to come. So I'm going to take him at face value on that. No doubt our unions, right as we go through getting royal assent on the bill, doing the detail of secondary legislation, statutory instruments, we'll be in the room arguing for the Employment Rights Bill to have real teeth, because, frankly, a low-fat Employment Rights Bill that doesn't really deliver the change that people need in workplaces won't do the job. This is a set of policies that's incredibly popular with the public.
Right.
It doesn't matter who you voted for at the last election, Reform, Labour or Conservative, banning zero-hours contracts and giving people new rights at work is popular.
Not so popular with business, though. But you've said that Sir Keir Starmer needs to show that he is on the side of working people. I mean, after over a year of Labour government, shouldn't that be obvious?
Well, as I say, yeah, the government promised change. I think for far too many people that change has been slow coming. So I think the Employment Rights Bill is a really important opportunity to show whose side they're on. But you mentioned employers there, Kieran. Let's just recognise the fact that even in a sector like hospitality, the vast majority of employers don't use zero-hours contracts. Good employers do pay sick pay from day one. I'm not quite sure why good employers should be undercut by the rogues. So the Employment Rights Bill would level the playing field for good employers. We work with good employers up and down the country every single day who deliver on this stuff. If they can do it, so can every other employer.